All right. Hello and welcome back to the Pixelmon World Cup. Um Today we have a couple more fights for you. Starting off with oh no, it was a joke. Okay, that was a joke. It appears Pixelmon Scarlet Korea versus Unlinked. I believe both of these teams fought yesterday. Although they didn't fight each other. Was it yesterday? Am I out of date? I am out of date. It's SquirtleSquadMC versus Unlinked and Pixelmon Scarlet Korea versus Astral Pixelmon. Um, Pixelmon Scarlet Korea and Unlinked was yesterday. In that match, I do believe Pixelmon Scarlet Korea came home with a 3-0 victory against Unlinked. So the fight today against SquirtleSquadMC and Unlinked will be their attempts to get some points back on the board. SquirtleSquadMC in their matches earlier in the week, they won one of their matches, but they lost two, putting them -1 overall. And Unlinked, I believe, are -3 overall, due to them losing all three of their matches against Pixelmon Scarlet Korea. So both teams today are very much wanting all the points that they can get. And depending on their performances today, even though I do believe these teams will be fighting one more time, I believe if there's a decisive victory either way, it may be unrecoverable for one of these teams to make it into the proper bracket later in the tournament. It appears we have Jacko Bell on the side of SquirtleSquadMC and Dogboy64 on the side of Unlinked. Jacko Bell did fight for Squirtle Squad last time. I believe it was their first player as well, but I do believe Dogboy64 is... I believe this is their first showing in the tournament. Saw Spritzy on the ground, a level 22 Spritzy, and I thought it was one of the player's Pokemons, and I was very confused. I believe the refs are just getting ready now. The match should be starting soon. And it does. Jacko Bell going for the Kyurem lead, and Dogboy64 with the Coco lead. Now, depending on the set these are running, A Specs Coco, I do believe, does kill a low special defense invested Kyurem, but I could be wrong. Whereas a Kyurem does threaten with Earth power. However, the Tapu Koko goes for the Iron Head, revealing itself to be a physically focused, or perhaps a mixed focused Tapu Koko instead, as the Kyurem is swapped out for something that can more confidently handle a Koko, being the Galarian Slowking. Oh, the Slowking takes a lot of damage from a Wild Charge, as it sets up a future sight. Perhaps a risky play. I do believe a Sludge Bomb would have probably guaranteed killed that Koko. I'm not entirely sure. It would have hurt a lot at the very least. But now the Slowking is unable to do that, and it will be forced out this turn. Well, I do believe this Koko is fully physically focused with that Wild Charge. As the Gliscor comes in. And the Koko U-turns out. And the Swampert comes in. There was no Pelipper lead or anything, so although this could potentially be a rain team, this Swampert is not going to be able to take advantage of that, as no rain is currently up. Granted, I do believe this Gliscor is threatened out either way, but it does appear to stay in, I think. As the Swampert goes, it does Mega. Feeling that there perhaps is a rain team behind there. Mega Swampert is very rarely ran without without a rain team. Going for the Ice Punch, but the Gliscor does protect. Going for perhaps a bit of scouting, or probably just wanting to guarantee that that Poison Heal does, the Toxic Orb does apply that Poison Heal. As the Kyurem switches out and the Pelipper comes in. This is actually a very, very good spot for this Pelipper, as if this Kyurem is running either Freeze Dry or Earth Power, the Tapu Koko cannot comfortably come in, the Pelipper cannot stay in, and the Mega Swampert cannot comfortably come in either. With this Pelipper revealing itself, it is revealing that this is going to be a rain team. The Kyurem going for the Draco Meteor, but missing. Likely revealing itself to be the full special set, not the sub-roost set. Which will change how you play around this. Could still be the mixed set, actually, as well. I'm unsure on how much a Freeze Dry or an Earth Power would do to this Goodra, as it is very specially defensive, as the Zapdos comes in, taking a Toxic for its troubles. Of course, Rain is up, and depending on what the Zapdos is running, it could very well take advantage of that. But I'm not entirely sure on what a Zapdos has that can really threaten a Goodra, so it goes for a Volt Switch, just pivoting out. As the Heatran comes in, it's Air Balloon up. Goodra going for the Acid Armor. Not much use against the Heatran. Or Zapdos, for that matter. Heatran going for the Earth Power. It doesn't do much, only about 35%. As the Gudra goes for the body press, doing a huge amount of damage to that Heatran. Doesn't kill it, but does threaten it out. So Zapdos comes in, taking a critical body press, but not caring too much. Zapdos going for the Hurricane, it does not do much. And decides to just Volt Switch out. As the Kyurem comes back in, Gudra repeatedly setting Acid Armor. Going for the Draco Meteor, hurting a lot. Not hurting enough. As the Kyurem goes down, that's a big loss. That Kyurem was a substantial threat to this Rain team. With that gone, that's going to be very hard to work around. The Heatran does come back in, looking to clean up this Gudra. As the Pelipper comes in, resetting Rain, expecting the Earth power, wanting to keep that Gudra alive. That Gudra was quite the menace for Jackal Bell's team. So the Pelipper goes for the Hurricane, deciding to stay in as the Lopunny comes in, taking quite a chunk of damage from that. As this Lopunny does Mega, goes for the Fake Out. Does do a bit of damage, but not really that much. Pelipper, of course, being quite the bulky Pokemon, especially as it's usually invested full bulk. As the Zapdos comes in, taking another Hurricane, Jackal Bell really just struggling to find any space here. As the Gudra comes back in, Zapdos does go for the Roost, though. Good move, expecting the switch out. This Gudra has been a consistent thorn in the side of Jackal Bell, as he's just been completely unable to break through it. Going for the Hurricane, once again, not doing much, but does get the confusion. But it's not enough, as Gudra does hit with the body press, but does proc static, being paralyzed. That could potentially mean the end of this Gudra. However, that Zapdos is taking consistent poison damage, so it cannot just only attack. It does need to take a couple turns to Roost, as the Slowking comes in, taking basically no damage from the body press. Slowking does pivot out. As the Gudra uses Rain Dance, potentially wanting to bring in the Mega Swampert here just to clean up the remaining bits of Jacobel's team, as many of them are hurt, but Zapdos comes in instead. Expecting the Earthquake. Myscore going for the Protect, perhaps trying to scout out what's coming out, as the Weather Ball is used. That is a Water-type Weather Ball in this rain. Myscore cannot stay in front of this Zapdos forever. So goes for the Hurricane, perhaps expecting a switch, as the Gliscor goes for the Toxic, but it misses. Likely expecting another Protect here, just to get that Gliscor a bit more health. It does indeed. Goes for the Protect. Zapdos does go for Weather Ball. I think it should probably just go for another Weather Ball here. But it can't, because the rain is gone. Great move on Jacobel, stalling through that rain to the point where this Zapdos is unable to threaten that huge damage as the Goodra comes back out. Unable to be toxic, as it is both a Steel type and already paralyzed. And the Pelipper comes back in. Can't Earthquake Pelipper. Setting rain once more. Gliscor does go for the Toxic, but it does miss. The Pelipper going for the slow U-turn to allow the Swampert to come in unscathed. This Gliscor is very heavily threatened by the Swampert now. I do expect it to go for a Protect, to stall for a turn. Because every turn that passes means another turn of rain. And getting closer and closer to its end, and maybe some space. They switch out to going for the Heatran. Perhaps expecting to then switch back into the Gliscor, expecting an Earthquake from the Swampert. But I suspect that this Swampert is probably just going to press Liquidation or Waterfall. It goes for the Power-Up Punch, which would be really huge if it wasn't for the fact that Heatran's Flame Body does trigger Burn on this Swampert. As the Lopunny comes in. Going for the Fake Out, it does an amount, but not a huge amount. Rain is still going. This Lopunny will not survive a hit from the Swampert, even with that burn, as it is +1. It does die. A Power Punch probably could have been used there, and you would have managed to even out your attack. The Gliscor is back on field. I expect a Protect here again, just to try and burn through another turn of rain, and also get some of that burn damage to go through. The rain is still up. So Slowking comes in, taking a Waterfall. I'm almost dying, but just not. This Swampert, I believe, only has 2 turns left with this burn. So it does switch out, bringing in the Zapdos, also taking a huge amount, as the weather is now gone. depending on the investment of this Zapdos, the Swampert is not faster than it. And either way, it will only survive one more turn with this burn. But also, the Zapdos is looking really rough as well. I don't know if it's going to live another turn with that poison. As it goes for the Roost. Swampert going for the Earthquake, which does finish off that Zapdos, able to hit it through the Roost, removing the Zapdos' flying type. I don't know if that was a predict, or if they're just expecting to switch to something else, but it paid off. As the Coco comes in. Now, depending what the Slowking is running, a Sludge Bomb does hurt a Coco here, and it does U-turn out as the Gliscor comes. And the Alolan Raichu comes into the field with Electric Terrain. That's something we haven't seen yet. So Raichu switches out as the Gliscor goes for the Protect, setting Rain, the Pelipper. Gliscor going for the Toxic, but missing again. Most of those Toxics have missed this match. Very unfortunate. Pelipper goes for the U-turn. The Raichu comes back in Rain and an E-Terrain. What's it going to do? Raichu going for the Surf, doing huge amounts of damage to that Gliscor, but not enough to kill it, as the Raichu does get taken out by that Earthquake. See, Zapdos comes in. Gliscor going for the Protect. Zapdos using Weather Ball. Rain is going to be up for quite a while longer, as the Pelipper said at this time, not the Goodra. As the Slowking comes in, taking that Weather Ball. I don't know how much damage the Zapdos is able to do here. I don't know if it can do 50% with a Thunder or a Hurricane. But I don't think the Slowking can really threaten the Zapdos that much either. One of the battlers is thinking very carefully. This turn is going on for quite a while. Zapdos going for the Thunder, not doing enough to kill, as the Slowking does use Future Sight. Rain is still up, so the Gliscor cannot safely switch in. As a Weather Ball may be used. In fact, a Weather Ball likely will be used, as I think a Weather Ball will be enough to kill this Slowking and also kill the Gliscor if it switches in. Gliscor does come in, taking the Weather Bull and dying. That's quite good. I do not believe with that. I believe with that Gliscor gone, I don't believe Jacobel can really do anything from here. And to answer your question, Shadui in chat, this is our first match of the day. Zapdos is hurt by the Future Sight. Rain has stopped. Going for the Sludge Bomb. The Zapdos does go down as the Coco comes in. I do not remember if the Hisuian Gooter was taken out or not. Doesn't matter as the Coco goes for the Wild Charge, killing the Galarian Slowking and closing out the match as Dogboy does walk away with that first victory for Unlinked. That's going to be very big for Unlinked because currently in the overall leaderboard, they are at -3 as they've lost all of their games last time, I believe. I could be wrong, but I think that's what happened. Meaning even if they win all their matches today, they will only be at a 0 overall with 3 wins and 3 losses. But frankly, they need that, as anything less may mean that they cannot guarantee themselves in the proper bracket. SquirtleSquadMC losing that match might hurt them, as now they are -3+1 overall. As is Unlinked, actually, they're both -3+1 over all their fights so far. The next match is coming up. I believe it is Heian Damon of Unlinked versus Yabby of SquirtleSquadMC. Both fighters are ready. Behind the scenes, they will be sent the previews of the opposing fighter, so they will know a bit of how to prepare and perhaps how to work around it. So the battle does begin with the Moltres lead and the Bannet lead, very likely a Mega Bannet lead. Of course, Mega Bannet with its Prankster. Prankster leads are always scary, as you never know what they're going to do, but they can be very dominant. So the Moltres goes for the U-turn. Slowking comes in. Spanic goes for the Poltergeist, immediately killing it. Perhaps a bad move, knowing that the Banet was not going for a status move. Poltergeist was quite frankly quite likely. Bringing that Slowking was a bad idea. As the Darkrai comes in. This Banet is threatened here. We'll have to see what it decides to do. It could be running Destiny Bond, which could be rough for this Darkrai. We need to play carefully around it. But in the same sense, this Darkrai could be running Z Hypnosis. Giving a Darkrai free setup is something that should very much be avoided, as it's a Pokemon that, well, after it has set up, it is very hard to deal with unless you have the priority. As the Banet switches out into the Urshifu, and it does go for the Z Hypnosis. Question is, do you risk staying in? Due to the fact that it's running Z Hypnosis, it's also very likely running Nasty Plot, meaning it will only have 2 attacks. Dark Pulse likely, and probably Ice Beam in that final slot, although Thunderbolt is possible. Is a +2 Dark Pulse enough to take out an Urshifu? Keep in mind this Urshifu is going to be taking tick damage from Bad Dreams. So Darkrai does go for the Nasty Plot. Now this next turn, there's a chance that Urshifu could wake up. There's a chance it's going to sleep for another turn. What do you do? Do you go for the Nasty Plot again? So Urshifu goes for the Aqua Jet, not going for a close combat or anything like it. And the Urshifu taking a lot of damage from that Dark Pulse. That is going to be very, very bad for that Urshifu not going for a fighting type move, meaning it is unable to kill this Darkrai. So it will go down. The Dragonite comes in. If this Darkrai is running Ice Beam, which it likely is, even with multi-scale, this Darkrai is +2 and it has a very high special attack stat. With that quad weakness, I don't see this Dragonite living unless this is some sort of bulky set. Of course, the Dragonite looking likely to go for an extreme speed here. So Darkrai does switch out, going into the Moltres. Not proccing Flame Body. Now, I'm unsure what both of these Pokemon are running. Moltres could potentially be threatened if the Dragonite is running Thunder Punch, but that's not entirely likely. The Dragonite does go for the Dragon Dance. So Moltres U-turns out, breaking its multi-skill at the very least. But that Dragonite might become very scary very soon. As the Garchomp comes in. This Dragonite is running Ice Punch. I don't know if this Garchomp will live it with the Dragonite being +1. I'm unsure what set exactly this Garchomp is running, as there are so many things it can do. Stone Edge could hurt. And I just realized that Dragon is running left, but that Dragonite is running leftovers, bringing it back up to full health, which doesn't matter too much, as the Rocky Helmet damage will break its multi-scale, as the Garchomp does use Dragon Claw and kill that Dragonite. A worthwhile trade, I think. That Dragonite the Garchomp losing a significant amount of health but living, and the Dragon Dance Dragonite going down. Leftovers on Dragonite is very risky, as though it can allow you to get your multi-skill back against U-turners. It does mean you lose the utility of heavy-duty boots, meaning if rocks are set, you can't take advantage of that. As the opposing Darkrai comes out. Darkrai going for the Dark Pulse, finishing off the Garchomp. Perhaps intentionally not switching out to sacrifice the Garchomp to bring in something else unscathed, like this Lopunny, very likely a Mega Lopunny. As the Moltres comes out, gets faked out, and Flame Body does proc. The Mega Lopunny now being burned, that is actually going to be very big, as this Lopunny is going to struggle to hit breakpoints it wants to hit, and it's not going to be able to threaten things it used to be able to threaten. Good move there on the side of Hayne Damon, bringing out that Moltres. It will be very worthwhile, I think, later in the match, with this Lopunny unable to break through things it normally would want to. As the Moltres goes for the Roost, the Lopunny using Healing Wish, sacrificing itself. That's very interesting. That's not something you see often at all. Darkrai comes in being fully healed from that healing wish. Moltres is a fantastic answer to many physically offensive Pokemon, as it resists. Its typing allows it to resist a lot of common offensive typings, notably U-turns as well, and its ability Flame Body means that whenever you hit it with a physical move, you have a chance of being burned, which will half your attack stat while you're outgoing physical damage, allowing it to punish physical users while not taking a lot of damage in the long term, and also has fantastic recovery and roost, and also fantastic damage output. It's just a very good Pokemon. As the Darkrai does hypnotize the Moltres, putting it to sleep as they decide to hard switch the Moltres out. The Darkrai going for a nasty plot as the Kartana comes in. As the Kartana switches out, the Moltres comes back in, and the Darkrai switches out, and the other Moltres comes back in. We have Moltres versus Moltres. Well, one is asleep. There's not much a Moltres can really do about another Moltres. I expect either. Yep, one goes for the U-turn. Does the other also go for U-turn? I expect either hard switches or U-turns, and they haven't hard switched, so I'm expecting them both to U-turn out. Excuse me. Whoever just used that U-turn, I can't tell because the usernames in chat don't work properly, unfortunately. Whoever just used that U-turn is taking a while to think of who they want to switch to. See, Kartana comes in as the other Moltres does U-turn out. See, Darkrai comes in. Very interesting choice, bringing the Darkrai against this Kartana. Darkrai is not the bulkiest Pokemon, and Kartana hits very hard. Don't know if he'll be able to live, even if it does hit neutrally. Perhaps trying to bait into switching back into Moltres. Oh, goes for the Sacred Sword. Killing the Darkrai. That is quite the loss. That's going to hurt quite a bit. As the Moltres comes back. I don't know how many Pokemon are left on both sides or what Pokemon are still remaining. But it's looking quite rough for Yabby here. Losing that Lopunny and that Darkrai in the ways that they did has put them on quite the back foot, I think. Moltres does go for Flamethrower. This might genuinely be a Moltres versus Moltres fight. The Cortana obviously not really able to do much about this in this moment. The other they're just hitting each other. They are just hitting each other. I think Heyman Damon. Oh, jeez. Sorry. I think Heyman Damon is trying to whittle down Yabby's and Moltres as much as they can so that the faster Cortana can come in and can hopefully do enough damage to clean up. As they go for the roosts. This becomes a flamethrower roost fight. We might be here for quite a while. I think that might be exactly what's happening. Jeez. It's like there's something in the back of my throat. My apologies. I think at least one of the players is thinking carefully here. Frankly, I don't think both players want to be in a flamethrower roost fight. I think that's what we're going to get. I believe the Moltres is the last Pokemon on Yabby's team. I hope you all have like in the audience. I hope you have like a drink, a snack, something, because we're gonna be here for quite a bit. You guys think I can get a game of Minesweeper done before this Moltres fight ends? Let's see. We'll try. Yeah, sorry folks, this is not going to be a particularly exhilarating one. As the Darkrai comes in, this very much could be the end of the match right here, folks. Takes a huge amount from Dark Pulse. Can't roost through that. Using the flamethrower, hurting a lot, but not hurting enough. Here's Moltres is dead. The Melmetal comes in. Fight is not over yet. Of course, Darkrai cannot do much to a Melmetal, especially if this Melmetal is running Assault Vest. I mean, you saw how much that Dark Pulse did. Just over a quarter, maybe. 3/8 or such. So Darkrai does switch out into the Kartana, taking Double Iron Bash and actually hurting quite a bit. Looking to hit it with a Sacred Sword probably will not be enough to kill, but will bring it into the range of being killable from a Darkrai's Dark Pulse. However, there's also the chance that Yabi just switches to Moltres here. This next turn will determine, I think, whether we're going to be stalling for a bit longer or if this match is going to come to its definitive end. We're trying to go for the knockoff. Knocking off the Iron Vest, that Melmetal is absolutely in range of being killed by a Darkrai now. This might be it. I think the Darkrai can just sweep the Melmetal and the Moltres from here. And if Yabi has nothing else in the reserves, I think it's over. For the Dark Pulse, killing the Melmetal. Taking some Life Orb damage, though. Doesn't matter. This Dark Pulse will be enough to kill this Moltres. Is this Moltres Yabi's last Pokemon? If it is, it is! As Haim Damon does take home the victory for Unlinked. The second match going to Unlinked as they start to fix their records. They lost 3 games against Pixelmon Scarlet Korea, and they're now looking to balance that out, going 2-0 so far into these matches with SquirtleSquadMC. SquirtleSquadMC, however, looking a bit rough, now having lost 4 matches and only won. Their record is slowly starting to decline more and more. As the final match between SquirtleSquadMC and Unlinked will be getting ready shortly. While we wait for that, I just want to let all the viewers know this is not our last match of the day. We do have another set of matches coming up soon after, between Pixelmon Scarlet Korea and Astral Pixelmon. That will be happening about an hour from now. Depending how long this match lasts, we might get there. Pixelmon Scarlet Korea did very, very well, going 3-0 in their first set of matches. I believe Astral Pixelmon went 2-1 in their first set of matches. 2 very strong teams. We'll have to see how they perform, but that will be later. As of now, we are finishing up our final match. Oh, it's in 3 hours. Is it 3 hours? I thought it was in 1 hour. Oh yeah, it's in 3 hours. I can't count. I'm unable to count. My apologies. For some reason I thought that 24 came after 21. Don't don't question that. It'll be in 3 hours. My apologies. If we reach 3 hours from this one match, then I'm quitting. If this one match is 3 hours long, then I don't know what to say, man. I do not have the patience for that. But we are starting our final match with Python PvP representing Unlinked and Matt Killer 7 representing SquirtleSquadMC in our final match between these two servers. Unlinked looking to finally put their score back to neutral. SquirtleSquadMC desperately looking to recover some of the many points that they've lost, as we have a double Palafin lead. Both Palafins switching out, one hard switching, the other one flip turning, giving that opposing Urshifu tiny bit of chip, not much, but every little counts. Especially against a Pokemon that does not have any recovery. See, Alomomola comes in. Urshifu going to be unable to break through on Alomomola. Will be threatened by the likes of a Thunder Wave or Toxic. At least one of the players is thinking carefully here. This turn is lasting quite a while. The Urshifu decides to go for the bulk up, presuming that Alomomola flip turning out, likely presuming that the Urshifu was going to switch out. Potentially a very good move there. We'll have to see. Hey! I don't know if my mic picked that up, but I just sneezed really loudly. If it did pick it up, I apologize. Python thinking quite a while as to what they want to switch this Alomomola with. Thank you, Sassy Hippo. I appreciate that. So the Diancie comes in. Now, a Mega Diancie will be faster than an Urshifu, and a Dazzling Gleam or Moonblast definitely does threaten. But if this Urshifu is running Aqua Jet, then it will hurt a Mega Diancie a lot. I don't know if it will kill even at +1, but it will certainly hurt a lot at the very least. As the Melmetal comes in, Mega Diancie going for a Moonblast. Not doing much to a Melmetal. Does get the special attack decrease, but that's not going to help much. As this Mega Diancie will be forced out, as Melmetal can do titanic damage to Diancie, with its 4 times weakness to Steel, and Melmetal being one of the hardest hitting Steel types with Double Iron Bash. So Landorus comes in, a potentially risky move against a Melmetal, as an Ice Punch from a Melmetal usually kills a Landorus depending on its EV spreads, even with the -1 to attack from Intimidate. Either way, this Landorus will be forced out this coming turn. And thinking carefully about what they're going to do, I believe. So the Melmetal does switch out. Landorus going for the U-turn. The Urshifu comes in. I don't know if that Melmetal switch was necessary unless it's choice locked. Which I'd be very surprised if it was, as the Palafin comes in with its heroic transformation. Now, of course, this Urshifu no longer has bulk, has bulk up, but is no longer bulked up, so its stats are now natural. As the Palafin goes for the Zen Headbutt, one-shotting that poor Urshifu. Of course, Palafin being a very, very hard hitter. Something that can be very dangerous if left to just do what it wants to do. Fantastic wall breaker. As the opposing Palafin comes out. Now, the HP values may matter a lot here, but what may also matter is item choice. For example, if one of these is banded and the other one isn't, the one that is banded is likely going to win the fight here. But of course, the fact that they do not have even health right now, one of the Palafins is missing 20%. That may matter a lot. So they do switch out, bringing the Alomomola in, which does take a crit, taking a lot of damage. As Palafin's defenses are dropped. Alomomola will live another close combat. Now, with this Alomomola, you want to keep it alive, as it is a fantastic pivot. You need to be careful here, because if you play this wrong, you could lose it. You don't necessarily want to hard switch, as this Palafin will hurt a lot. As it does switch into the Landorus, which does get the Palafin's attack decreased, allowing the Alomomola to come in considerably safer next time if it wishes to. As the Palafin decides to switch out in favor of a Gliscor, as the Landorus U-turns, and the opposing Palafin comes back into the field. This fight may very well be dictated by which Palafin goes down first, as it seems both teams are heavily threatened by the opposing Palafin. Gliscor goes for the protect, just allowing it to heal a bit of health that it lost from that U-turn. In a fight like this, it may very well be that every single health point counts. So it's worthwhile going for that protect. The opposing Palafin comes in, taking a wave crash. As now both Palafins are looking at about equal health. The Lumamola comes back in, taking a close combat. You can't do this Lumamola Landorus switching forever. Eventually one of them will die. Opposing Palafin comes in, Gliscor comes out. As does the Landorus. Once again, expecting to get that Intimidate off on the Palafin, but the Gliscor comes out instead. As the Gliscor goes for knockoff on the Landorus, as Landorus U-turns back out. So Lumamola comes back into the field. Healing with Regenerator as the Landorus comes back out, taking the Toxic. That's the main thing I was worried about in that Lumamola was really its health value to do with that being able to take on that opposing Palafin. Landorus does try to U-turn out, but the Gliscor goes for the protect, goes for the knockoff this turn. Doing a bit more damage to that Landorus, which is going to be taking more and more with that poison damage, especially now that its leftovers are gone. As the Palafin comes back out. Gliscor is threatened, and perhaps the Palafin will not go for Wave Crash this time, expecting the opposing Palafin to switch onto the field. Going for close combat or a Zen Headbutt instead. Going for the protect, scouting out what the Palafin is going to do. Very smart. This Palafin does go for a Wave Crash. I do think this Palafin might be banded. And if it is banded, then it is just given away its game plan. And Matt Killer will know exactly what to do. The Melmetal comes in, taking a Wave Crash, taking quite a bit of damage. Another Wave Crash will not be enough to kill here. If this is choice locked, then it's going to have to switch out. If it is not choice locked, then this Melmetal is probably going to die from a close combat. I believe if Python PvP loses their Palafin, they're going to really struggle around both the opposing Palafin and also this Melmetal.
think it is choice locked. The Melmetal goes for the Earthquake, taking out the Palafin. That is going to hurt a lot for Python PvP. They're really going to struggle to break through. The Melmetal will be fairly easy to break through now due to how low it is, but the opposing Palafin will be really hard to break through now. The Diancie comes in. The Melmetal is now in range of being killed by this Diancie, as the Diancie is significantly faster than this Melmetal could ever be. Goes for the Diamond Storm, killing the Melmetal, getting the defensive increase. I don't think the Melmetal too much. This is a defensive increase, sorry. Against this. As the opposing Diancie comes out, I did not expect that. I was expecting the Palafin to come onto field. This is now a speed tie. This one goes for Flash Cannon, the other goes for Earthquake, with the Flash Cannon doing significantly more. Not Earthquake, or the Earth Power. Speed tie or not, Earth Power is not enough to break through. Flash Cannon is. The Aluminum comes off the field. That might be huge. I really do not see a way for Python PvP to wiggle their way out of this now. Losing both the Mega Diancie and their Palafin. Mad Killer still has their Palafin on the board. I believe it had a fairly good health stat left as well. Still in the green, I believe. Jancy going for the Diamond Storm does get the defensive increase, but takes a huge amount of damage from that flip turn as the Heatran comes in. If this Diancie is running Earth Power, then this Heatran will not be able to do that much. Unless this is... Scarfed Heatran doesn't exist, but I saw Scarfed Heatran in this tournament a couple days ago, so it is possible. I think this Heatran is very dead, and this Diancie does have Earth Power. At the same time, that Palafin can still clean up. Deciding to set Stealth Rock, perhaps not having Earth power as it does die to the Heatran. Deciding to make its life easy, likely the Palafin's life easier, dissuading all the pivoting that has been done around it as the Palafin does come in, heavily threatening this Heatran. Threatening the Heatran, the Landorus, not necessarily threatening the Alomomola, but with that Stealth Rock chip, that Alomomola is not going to keep pivoting forever. Heatran switches out and the Alomomola comes in, taking over half from a close combat. That's pretty big.
I'm likely expecting the Landorus to switch in this turn. I can't remember what the HP that the Landorus was at. I don't know if a close combat would be enough, but a Wave Crash or a Waterfall or whatever water type move that this Palafin is running would be enough. But also, this could be choice locked. If it is choice locked, it doesn't necessarily have much of a choice in what it does here, but it may still be able to just sweep by repeatedly pressing close combat. We'll have to see. The Alomomola switches out and the Landorus comes in. Dying in the close combat. As the Alomomola comes back in, taking another close combat, but not taking too much damage this time. Alomomola does use Wish. Wanted to, I think, try and stall out this Palafin. I think this is choice lock. The Iron Valiant, I'm sorry, I'm eating pizza. The Iron Valiant switches in, revealing another Pokemon on the side of Mac Killer and an extremely strong and potent one at that. It does get a speed boost from its Quark Drive, but that does not matter too much. Valiant, depending on what it's running, can heavily threaten the Heatran. Go for the close combat, but it doesn't kill. It just doesn't kill, but the Magma Storm from the Heatran does. So the Palafin comes back on field. It's a good pizza, shut up. As the Heatran pivots out, not the Heatran, sorry, the
Palafin flip turns out, bringing the Gliscor in, facing down a Kyurem. Now, if this Kyurem has freeze dry, it's honestly probably over for Matt Killer. Maybe. If they hard switch, it's over. They will take a freeze dry and they will die. However, if they let this Gliscor just die to this Kyurem, they will be able to bring the Palafin back in, and the Palafin will be faster and will be able to kill the Kyurem. But they cannot hard switch to the Palafin, or it will die, and a Matt Killer likely will lose. This match is actually quite close. I originally thought that this one, going towards the end here, was significantly more favored towards Matt Killer 7. But as the turns have continued, I believe it is far more even, as the Kyurem sets up substitute. That is huge. Doing that uncontested, the Palafin will now be unable to break through that in one turn. Well, it can break through, but it will not be able to damage that Kyurem in one turn, as the Kyurem likely goes for the freeze try and does kill Python PvP, just winning in a very close match with some fantastic moves at the end there, winning their team unlinked one more point, bringing them to a 3-3 overall. With SquirtleSquadMC unfortunately losing every one of their matches today, despite some multiple close matches. This is the exact thing that Unlinked wanted. Winning all three of their matches today was imperative to their success and their chances in getting into the bracket later in the tournament. Squirtle Squad right now must be feeling quite rough, though. They have now participated in 6 matches and they've only won one of them. The record is not looking great, and while they might still have a chance, they'll need to fight hard for it. Some fantastic matches today. We do have more matches coming up later in the day, 2.5 hours from now. Got my times right this time. Those 3 matches will be between Pixelmon Scarlet Korea and Astral Pixelmon, 2 very strong teams that had some very strong showings in their first matches. Astral Pixelmon going 2-0, and Pixelmon Scarlet Korea going 3-0. Some very exciting things there. Very likely one of those teams will be walking away with a very strong looking record, and the other team will have their record neutered. Of course, there's a chance that the teams perform fairly equally and walk away with fairly neutral looking scores overall. We'll have to wait till then and see. That'll be 2.5 hours from now. So feel free to come back and watch those. I think those will be some fantastic matches, and I will be commentating those as well. Thanks for all the players who showed up today. Some fantastic matches. You fought brilliantly. And thanks as well always to the support and refs and organizers that show up every single day to these. You make this possible. And if you wish to support the Pixelmon World Cup, you can do so by visiting the website and going to the sponsors section. Anything helps. It's a small community-driven event, and we're more than willing to accept anything that you would like to give. Until then, until our next matches in, once again, 2.5 hours from now. My name is Alba, and I've been your host. I'll see you again there. I do hope you show up.